Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi, Sabrina. Hi, Donna. How are you guys?
Hi.
Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited to talk to you both. And I just thought, kind of at the top of the hour, I'll just sort of read through each of your bios so that folks have a sense of the work you do if they don't already follow you. And then we're going to dive into some questions. So, Sabrina, let's start with you. Sabrina Truscott has had a rich background in dance and theatrical production. She studied performance arts at the Neighborhood Playhouse in New York City, where she worked as an actress in soap operas, commercials, and musical theater before being brought to Los Angeles for her television acting career. While juggling her professional career, Sabrina always maintained a curiosity and unquenchable appetite towards the meaning of life, causing her to study the love-based philosophies found within various religions. This passion eventually led her to walk away from her successful television acting career to devote her time to meditation, personal growth, and charity work. Along her journey, Sabrina fell deeply in love with ballroom and Latin dance and went on to become a professional competitor for 7 years. Her ballroom and acting career gave Sabrina the necessary skills she desired to co-create, direct, and MC the enormous charity gala Dancing with the Stars Austin from 2007 until the present, which has generated over $8 million dollars for the Center for Child Protection in Austin, Texas. One of her greatest joys is to oversee, organize, and create events that support people in transforming their lives. In addition to her passion for charity work, personal growth, and meditation, Sabrina has always loved movement and the way the flow of energy can be felt and expressed through dance. For the past 25 years, she has shared this joy of movement not only through dance, but also through what she calls celebration fitness. Celebration fitness is a way of integrating the mind, body, and spirit into an ecstatic state of oneness while exercising. Today, as co-founder of the Satori Method Academy, an offline and online center for mind, body, spirit transformation, Sabrina and her husband Tristan teach, coach, and produce programs that enable people to become mentally, spiritually, and physically fit. Sabrina is living proof that health, positive thinking, and living from the heart keeps you young, healthy, happy, and constantly joyful. Okay, Donna. Hi, Donna.
Hello.
Donna Kozic grew up on a 200-acre dairy farm in northwestern Pennsylvania and now lives near the freeways and beaches of San Diego, where she shows coaches, entrepreneurs, and others how to become published authors the fast and easy way. In fact, she has set a personal goal of turning 1,000 people into published authors in the next 12 months. Donna believes everyone has a message and story to share, and it's a great time to be alive with the ability to publish books and print them on demand. She faced her own challenges in starting a business and remembers one time where she was counting the cans of cat food on her shelf at the grocery store, $10 in her pocket, and wondering how few she could get by on to feed her precious felines throughout the weekend. It was also about that time that she printed out the bankruptcy papers and thought about getting a job, but things turned around when Donna took a chance on creating and leading a virtual event called Write a Book in a Weekend. That was nearly 10 years ago and has led to a best-selling book, a registered trademark, and over $1 million in revenue. Donna says there are a lot of perks to making some money, but her happiest moment came when she was back in that same grocery store and realized she could buy the whole shelf of cat food if she wanted to. She had plenty of money in her bank account. Donna's book writing system is live and virtual Write a Book in a Weekend events, features Donna's fill in the pages book templates, plus a weekend of live audio and recorded video messages that motivate and inspire soon to be authors to complete their book in 2 days. Wow. So you really have this interesting mix of being very accomplished, but also very intentional about it and intentional about sort of building that life that you wanted and shoving aside that life that you didn't. So I want to kind of turn to you, Sabrina, first and ask you to just tell me a little bit more about your background and how you got to this place of sort of living in this light.
Well, from listening to what you just read, it was pretty obvious I didn't go from point A to point B. I went from like A to Q to J, stopped by S, came to C, went away again. It wasn't a straight line, nor when I was standing at point A did I see where I am now. I spend
Mm,
my days now mostly working from home. I'm at home right now. I got two puppies right here next to me, and I absolutely love it. And I have an online company with my husband, Satori Method, and I'm also a partner in The Abundant Entrepreneur. that would never have occurred to me back at point A. I was, I stumbled into being on soap operas. Literally, I was in college, I was an applied math major, and I had taken an acting class and somebody filmed it, and it got into the hands of a soap opera producer, and I looked like a girl that was leaving. And so I got a call. I had never been on an airplane. I was in a little town in Virginia. So my first airplane ride was to fly to New York City to be on a soap opera. And
Whoa.
it was just, I was the right age, I was the right look. There were a lot of parts, and I did really, really well. And ABC took me to Los Angeles. But, you know, success is only success to you if it is fulfilling to you, right? So from the outside, it looked really successful, but I was still scared at every audition. I still wondered if I was okay, and had so much self-judgment and criticism and needing to be perfect. And I was on a spiritual journey. Who am I? Why am I here? What's the point? Why aren't we all talking about the fact that we're going to die? And those were big thoughts for a 19-year-old. And so I thought, well, what am I doing with my life? Is I'm spending my days pretending to be other people as an actress. And I was like, well, that's kind of what I don't want to do. I want to stop pretending to be other people and figure out, who am I? So I just walked away, and I traveled for a couple of years, spent all my residual money, and ended up in Austin, Texas. And I had no idea what I would do. I sort of became a minimalist, and I worked as little as possible. I started teaching fitness. I taught ballet, just enough to get by so that I could spend hours and hours a day in meditation and prayer and service. And after years of that, I realized that's not really contribution. That perhaps, in my opinion, you know, I'm here as a soul and a physical body. Shouldn't I serve and give back rather than just, you know, hibernate away in solitude? So then I started seeking more ways to share and to give, even through what I was doing. I had opened some fitness franchises. And that's really when my husband, who was on a lot of that journey with me, he owned Austin Martial Arts Academy, and he had a back injury that pretty much crippled him for 5 years. And through going through that healing journey with him, we studied a lot of energy arts and qigong and joint mobility and deeper forms of meditation. And he finally felt his leg again after 5 years of not being able to feel his leg through mindset, through intention, through focus of energy. And so we started making products to help other people who were in pain. And we launched those products online. And that's how we really started our business together. We built the plane as we were flying. We didn't know what we were doing. Neither one of us has ever had a business class. But when he couldn't walk, he laid on his back and learned how to build websites. And I still don't know how to write. I just talk into my phone and turn on Siri, and Siri dictates it. And that's what I call writing. And it works. And just the two of us, we've built this company that's made millions of dollars. And then from there, I was asked to partner with Abundant Entrepreneur, where now I can help it's mainly women, either launch their business or take it to the next level through my own experiences of having to do all the parts myself. So at this point, I feel that really wonderful feeling that life can be service, because not just sharing love with every single person I meet, but listening to what my clients are saying, or my customers or my students, and just offering whatever I can, whether it's mindset or business skills, and helping them take that next step, reflecting back on where I was, and then hearing what they have to share to take me to the next level, because it's always a journey.
I love that. I want to ask more about what an abundant entrepreneur is to you, but first I want to kind of go to Donna. And Donna, I want to hear your story, particularly as it relates to, you know, this idea of building a life you want when you aren't starting there. So you're, I guess take me back to that grocery store where you're staring at the cat food and you don't know if, you have enough in your pocket to get the kitties through the week. And then where do you go from there?
Right, right. So, yes, thank you, Claire. And a couple of things. If you see little cat ears appear, my cat is here on the table with me and even meowing once in a while. I was just gone for a vacation in Portland, Oregon, and I just got back, so he's very clingy right now. How did I get, I wondered myself, how did I get here? Being in that grocery store and trying to figure out and do the math in my head about how many cans of cat food would it take to feed my two kitty cats over the weekend. And then, oh gosh, I hope and pray that check comes on Monday from a freelance gig so I can get them some more food. And a lot of my friends, when I was growing up or at my first professional job, first couple of professional jobs, probably were wondering how I got there as well, because I had a great life in Erie, Pennsylvania. I worked for one of the biggest companies in town. I had a fantastic job, great circle of friends, and I just kind of wanted to follow this sense of adventure. And so that's how I came to live in San Diego in 2001. And I was applying for jobs. I had an MBA or have an MBA. And so I was applying for jobs to be a manager of a marketing department or something like that. And one of the interviews that I went on, the person who was hiring, he hired me as a freelancer part-time. And he said, hey, why don't you go pick up some more gigs and work in your PJs all day? And I'm like, sounds good. So that's how I kind of got in that position, because when you're a freelancer, you always have to be marketing and then fulfilling. And there's a little bit of a roller coaster, or a big roller coaster to the whole thing. And one message I want to give about this is that you really do have to believe in yourself, or have this desire or this knowledge. And you might not know exactly what you're after, what business you're after, what life you're even after, but you kind of know what it's not. And I knew it wasn't 9 to 5 every day in a cubicle like I left behind in Erie. And a lot of times people in your life might not understand this. I have a sister, I love her dearly, she loves me, but she just could not understand why I would want to live like this, kind of like on the edge, and always wondering when the next job or assignment, when that was coming, and instead not get a paycheck and 3 weeks of vacation a year and all of that. And she means well, and you might have people in your life like this too. They mean well, but they frequently ask, why are you pursuing this pipe dream? And a friend and I always joke that if or when we made it big, that we were going to get a boat and we were going to name it the Pipe Dream. Because of all the people that just wondered why we were doing that. So it was a little bit of, frankly, I had to make it. I was on my own in San Diego with cats to feed. And so I just was, what I did is I invested in a coaching program. And when I did it, I said that I was not only going to invest with my wallet, but with my time and my energy. And the coach promised me that I could get to 6 figures in 6 months if I did what he said. And some of it was scary.
That's a big promise.
Yeah, it absolutely is. But I said, well, that's his promise. If he thinks that I can do it, well, then I'm going to do whatever he says. And it took me 9 months to get to 6 figures, but I still did it. And like I said, it was a great feeling to arrive, and it's great to fly first class and to do all those things, but nothing like providing for those cats. And when I stood in that grocery store aisle, once again, I really started to choke up and cry, realizing I could take my hand and just sweep it across the shelf, dump all of the cans of Friskies into my cart, and I had plenty of money to pay for it. So I think that, again, it's just this idea of knowing what you want in your heart even if you're not quite sure what it looks like or something, like I said, something when you recognize what it's not, and you want to do what lights you up and pursue that.
I love that, on recognizing what it's not. So, Sabrina, talk to me about what an abundant entrepreneur is. And I wonder if this connects with what Donna has just said about having a coach saying that you can actually make this, and what that means, having someone else believe in you, if that's the first step to sort of abundance, or changing your mindset. I don't know, Sabrina.
I totally love what you said, Donna. That practice of knowing what you don't want, because when you ask someone, what do you want? That's a really tough question. But then if you flip it on them and say, what don't you want? You can start building a map and find out, well, what's left. And the abundant entrepreneur, for me, we're really trying to offer people, the most important thing to me is my time and time freedom. I love being able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And that sounds like a spoiled child, but it's not. It just feels like I want everyone to have that. Like my routine that I love waking up in the morning. I like having quiet time for prayer and meditation. I like to take the dogs for a quick walk. And then I actually still teach one class 5 days a week so that I don't have to work out of Celebration Fitness. And I love that. So I'm not back at the so-called office, which is also my home, until 10:30 in the morning. That's when my day starts, because that's when I wanted to start, unless I want to do something else. So I love having that time freedom, and yet the responsibility to set appointments and do things and have goals. But that sense of freedom, I would rather actually work more hours if necessary to have that type of flexibility. And a lot of the women that I speak to, especially the mothers, or a lot of the women who are retired but looking for maybe just a second stream of income, they don't want the 9 to 5. They want to be able to work maybe fewer hours and bring in more money. So with abundant entrepreneur, abundant is like an abundant life, so that it's abundant with love. It's abundant with financial abundance, of course, but in all ways, because abundant, that word, just like the word success, can mean different things to different people. And for me, just having financial abundance, that's great. But unless you can take that into other ways that you want to be abundant, you're not going to have the fulfillment that you're seeking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Donna, how did you work on proactively kind of shifting your mindset in the process as you've sort of increasingly found more and more success?
Yeah, it's interesting. I really think it is a process of kind of becoming who you want to be and putting some of those elements into place while you're still not maybe feeling it yet. And actually doing it. So I think mindset is so important. It's a little bit of, from in my story, or in my case, as I said, of just like, well, I had to, and to plug along. And also, as I mentioned, I had to find ways to get over my fears and step into what I felt I could be. And so I worked on those things, and asking for help was a big one for me. So I had to find a way to overcome my fear of asking for help. And then also acknowledging the victories along the way. And sure, the cat food was one. And like I said, the flying and the first class, and that is another one. But even the daily victories, just like Sabrina's talking about living the abundance and knowing, hey, I'm in charge of my own life here. I'm in charge of my time. I get to decide what I do. And acknowledging that along the way, I think really helps cement that mindset. And so then you can step into bigger and bigger roles that you want for yourself.
Absolutely. Sabrina, in the beginning, you said, your journey, it wasn't from A to Z or A to B. It was A to F to, to 4 to Y to whatever, all the way back to Z. I'm wondering, so how does our mindset factor into failure, which is going to happen along the way.
Right. Well, failure I'm always reframing, and that's part of my mindset tool. So I really don't use the term failure. It was just, this is the way that it is. Now, what can I do differently next time to make it a little bit better? I remember when I was in Hollywood, they would say, oh, so-and-so is an overnight success because she finally was in a movie that people noticed her. And I'm like, no, she wasn't. I saw her at auditions 20 years ago. It's just that overnight she became famous. And I tell you, a day that the mindset became so apparent to me, I was watching my husband before his accident teach self-defense. He taught a lot of women self-defense. And this was a class of, I would say, like mothers. And he had this suit he would put on so that they could actually hit him as hard as they could and really get to feel the power they would have if something like that ever happened to them. And this one woman, you know, she was like, stop it, get away. It was like so weak. And no matter what he said, he couldn't get her to protect herself. And so he said, your child is behind you. And if I get through you, I'm getting your child, and you know what I'm going to do to them. This woman became a monster. Wow. And she was immediately a superhero. And I watched him use this technique on woman after woman and then share with them, that is the power that is in you all the time. You are already that strong. You are already a superhero, and you have to see yourself and love yourself and protect yourself the way you would protect your child, or for me, my puppies, or Donna, for you, your cats. And just that shift changed everything. It changed the physical power. I watched these women completely transform, and I said, oh, wow, that's what I do with myself. When I would have to walk out on stage and MC that charity event, it would sell out to thousands. And no matter how many times I did it, I'd be backstage and feeling like, who am I to walk out there and talk, you know? And I had these super high heels on. So if your legs shake, it's really hard to walk, and it makes noise like tick, 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 as your knees are shaking. So I would immediately say, oh my gosh, all my friends are here. All my friends are here, and they can't wait to see me. Instead of all these people are here to judge the crap out of me and hate me and wish I was somebody else. So the power of mindset is the power of everything, because if I don't sit in the driver's seat of my mind, then that means that fear and insecurities and stories of the past, that's what's going to be making those decisions for me. So I have to sit strong and be in alignment with who I am as a powerful, loving being. You know, I like to say, you know, I'm going to be the best me possible because everyone else is taken, and no one can be as good as being me as me. So there's like a confidence in that. And, you know, when we're struggling with the back injury, we were $100,000 in debt on credit cards because of all the doctor bills and all the alternative medicine, and having to hire people to teach all the classes that we couldn't teach, and we're trying to keep the school open, but Tristan can't walk. And those times are the times that you can really grow, because you have to know that you just keep walking forward. You fail forward. You know, when you're stretching, for example, and you want more flexibility, you stretch so hard that you actually get a little sore, and the next day you don't seem as flexible. But then the next day, after the delayed stiffness is over, you're more flexible. So I think it's natural to feel like you're not always moving forward, but with every step that you step towards your dreams, and every step that you take towards being more in alignment with your full potential, it's inevitable that success will happen, because that's what you're aligning yourself with.
I love that. Donna, on your journey, what have you done when, you know, there are peaks, but there are also valleys? What have you done in those valleys to get back up?
Yeah. So like Sabrina, I agree. Failure, I can't even think of a time I would call something I tried that.
Wow.
Instead, just
That's
to,
so inspiring. I mean, both, wow. It's amazing that both of you are that dialed in. That's incredible.
yeah, and it's kind of, a riff on the Thomas Edison quote. It's like, well, I found another thing that wouldn't work.
Mm,
And so it's like, let's give it another try. So I think it's just really important to say that this is all a step along the journey moving forward. And although other people or a little part of yourself might say it's a step backward, it's not. It's just another step forward or sideways or something on your journey and moving forward. And I learned to embrace who I am as well. And one thing, I get nervous, my my legs would be shaking. And my first time on stage, the person who was presenting or introducing me, he kind of hung around for an extra minute or two because he said he thought I was going to pass out. I was so nervous. He gave me a hug and he was like, wow, you were, really shaking and breathing shallow and everything. He's like, I thought I better stick around just in case. But I, kind of found my way. And also he said later that really, because I was who I was, the audience was started pulling for me. They're like, we want to see you succeed. And so I think like looking when you're putting yourself out there in front of an audience to really focus on that. That's what I say for my aspiring authors. I said, there is somebody out there on the edge of their seat. They cannot wait to see and to read what it is that you have to say and what it is that you have to offer. And even if it's an idea that they might have heard before, you might say it in such a way that they're like, I never thought of it that way. Or you might catch them in a certain time where they even heard something similar before, but it didn't strike them the way it does when you say it or when you write it. And so I think it's just really important to keep moving forward, to keep trying things, and to be yourself. Especially in these days of social media. When I got on Facebook and a lot of other people were getting on it, and I knew their story, and they were some colleagues of mine, and I knew that some of the things that they were putting out there were not accurate at all. And I thought, you know what? I'm never going to do that. I'm just going to put my true self out there and say who I am and what I'm all about. And if people like me, want to hang out with me, great. And if they don't, that's okay too, but they weren't meant to. So I think some important things there in regards to mindset and the way you look at things, and also just being true to yourself.
I love it. My last question for you, Sabrina, has to do with kind of motivation and how we can kind of gear up for a big change. And, you mentioned that you basically had this career in television and you walked away from it to do something else, right? So when someone is sensing that it's time to make a big change, or maybe even is just gearing up for a big project or something, how do they get ready for something like that and feel kind of the faith in themselves to make a leap or make a small step even?
Yeah. Well, I think that is one of the most frightening times of my life have been transitions. I'm more of an introvert, and I like my personality, like sameness. So I'll say I want change, and then I always say, well, then change is going to happen, right? Well, I think sometimes when we say we want change, we're like, I want to keep what I have, but have that over there too, and then move it aside. But in the middle of change, there's going to feel usually like a void. But what happens in that void is this massive energy can fill it. With walking away from the career in acting was a choice of a young girl. And I was excited because I had met like this group of spiritual friends and they supported me in that. But there was a lot of fear. But I was just sort of too young to realize that I was going to need money to pay for stuff. So later the fears were larger when, I was a competitive ballroom dancer and then ran a ballroom dance studio with my partner, and we were hired to perform. And then I was actually in a taxi that was hit head on by a truck. And I didn't have a seatbelt on because I was in a taxi, and I just didn't do that. And it bent my leg in a way that I couldn't dance in the same way anymore. That was
Wow.
probably in 2006.
Wow.
So that was a catalyst for me to say, you know what, you're 40 years old, or almost, and you're dancing and dragging men around the dance studio for 8 hours a day. Is it time to think about the future in any way? Is this what we
Hmm.
want? And so there was a lot of self inquisition. Am I doing this because I've been doing it?
Hmm.
Yes. Am I doing it because I love it? Well, I did love it, but now I'm kind of bored because I'm teaching the same steps just to different people. And I love to dance myself, but am I really passionate about teaching dancing still? And I saw that. I think that as I move through life, um, I change. And so what I want to do with my time has shifted. So going online, that was very scary because no idea if it would be successful or not, or how. There was a part of me that was just naive enough to think, oh, I'm going to make a product, which we did. And I thought I was going to make a product and then everyone would just spontaneously know about it all over the world and send me money. And it didn't happen. So then we had to start studying marketing. And I think that I've developed like I call it a bag of tricks. Like Santa Claus
Hmm.
carries that big bag. And they're my mindset tools that I can use to reframe and to reshift. I'm actually going through a big change right now, and stepping into some things I haven't done before. But instead of saying it's fear, um, with the study of energy and what we teach with my husband Tristan's healing, is we're very much into the energy arts and the energy of qigong and tai chi and meditation. If emotion is energy, can't I just, as an actress, they would say I'd have a scene where I needed to cry and I didn't feel like crying. So maybe I would think about something that I love so much, like my dogs, and I love them so much I could almost cry, and just create that current of energy and then transfer it into whatever the scene is needed. So in
Hmm.
my so-called real life, when I feel that fear, I say, no, no, that's just energy that I can turn into excitement, and I can
Hmm.
turn it into fuel, and I can turn it into passion, and I can use it to move forward. And at the same time, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to not know, because the more I can not know, miracles can happen. And I can meet people that it can't be all planned out. I feel like I have to walk forward and allow and make room, make the void for the miracles to happen. But if I cling to everything I have right now and everything I know and same, then change can't happen because I haven't made room for it.
Wow. I'm making the void for the miracles to happen. So interesting.
Oh, wow. That's a meme.
Wow. Wow. Hmm. Donna, what about you in terms of finding motivation for setting really big goals and then trying to, tackle them? You have this thing where you say you want to help 1,000 authors, fulfill their dreams in a year. That's a pretty big goal. How do you how do you think about tackling that goal, and how do you shift your energy and your mind so that you can get there?
Yeah. It's interesting because it does sound like a big goal, but now once I said it, it's like, oh, then this is how it can happen. And I think of the different ways it can happen. And it doesn't seem like that
Mm,
big of a goal. It doesn't seem unreachable. It seems like, of course, this is the way it's going to work. So that's what I encourage people to do, is to kind of create a goal that at first might not seem reachable, but then as you visit with it every day, as you think about it, then it seems like, well, of course that's going to happen. For instance, if your goal was to make $100,000 in a year, what you could do is write 10 ways that that could happen. And when you start planting those seeds in your mind, you'll start to pick up on things that you never saw before, or things that you could do, or meet people that you never thought that you would be meeting, or people who can help you along that journey. And I think that's the most important reason to set goals is to give your mind a pathway or an endpoint or something to work towards. We know it's not the end. There'll be other goals after that, but a point on the horizon, and then your mind will start finding pathways to get there. If you don't have the goals, you will just kind of pace back and forth where you're at. And so I think that's the most important reason to do them, is to describe them, so then your mind, your body, your spirit start taking the steps to get to them.
Awesome. This has been so valuable. Sabrina, can you tell us what you're really focused on these days and where people can find more about you?
Yes, I would like to offer a gift that has helped me a lot, and it's a meditation that I created, and it's a guided meditation with brainwave entrainment under it, but it goes through questioning to open up creativity and to help you almost like see more colors, hear more sounds, be aware of all the magic that's happening, and tap into your intuition. And that would just be at our company, satorimethod.com. And if you go to the blog, it'll be on the sidebar. You can just download it. And then Abundant Entrepreneur is the business side. Satori Method is, we focus more on mindset and healing. What I'm excited about is just stepping more into helping more people with their businesses, particularly women. I'm running into a lot of women who are coaches. They're not coaches. They have certifications to be coaches, but they don't know how to get clients. They don't know how to get the information out there. And it just reminds me of when we made our product and we're like, here it is. Anybody want it? Again, and no, it was just this empty room. But with what I've learned, that I can help them through a lot of ways. Let people know exactly what they have and how they can help other people, and just create that ripple effect of everyone helping everyone else, so that the money can flow. You know, money likes to move. Money likes speed. Money likes to flow. So I feel like the more I can help other people flow, it flows to me, it can flow to them. And I want to help women experience more time freedom and more abundance, so they can have the choices that I have now.
I love it. And Donna, what are you really focused on these days, and where can people learn more about you?
So I love it when, to help with my goal to make 1,000 authors, I love it when people decide to share their message and write their book to use as what I call a big business card, a way to really establish credibility and expertise, and get your marketing message clear, maybe clear for your audience, and also just clear for yourself. Because writing really helps you clarify things. So if you're interested in writing a book, you can go to freebookplanner.com. Pretty easy to remember, freebookplanner.com, and download your free book planner, and you can just respond to any email that I send you. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. And what I'm working on right now that's really exciting is leading my Write a Book in a Weekend programs. I'm coming up on my 50th one. My 60th one that I'll be leading. And so I'm always excited to see what people are writing about, and kind of getting them on their way. And then also for those people that just seem stuck in what they're doing, I've started doing some done for you manuscripts for people of a certain type of book, again, as a big business card. So I'm excited about working on those and helping people through some blocks in getting their message out there.
I love it. Well, thank you both so much for being here. I'm so appreciative, and I hope you have an amazing weekend.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.